So it's an odd game series today. I decided to cover this really just for the fact that I thought it would be interesting, and I am still figuring out the next big thing to do. And new game came out, so we're doing Bendy and the Ink Machine now. First game came out 2017, then we had like a lot of like teasers, controversies. Wait, second game finally came out, so I decided, you know what, why not try and do it? So here we are. I'm getting sidetracked already. Let's start with the first game. So the first game takes place, who knows, it's never explained, it's not important, but it's 30 years after the company known as Joey Drew Studios, not the real thing. It's confusing, oh god. So yes. So Joey Drew Studios shut down 30 years ago, and your character, who's named Henry, got a note from Joey Drew saying there was something that he wanted to show him at the old workshop. So Henry goes into the workshop, and after a little bit of like puzzly fetch quest where he sees the corpse of like just a wolf human named Boris. He sees like the ink machine. The ink machine is this thing that just... It's so confusing what it does. It's never like fully explained. I think that's fine. But like we get nothing about it other than it probably creates like everything we see in the game. So you get the ink machine running for some reason, and then like you go back to like where you first saw it, and like there's boards covering like a bit of the, like you can't go in because there's boards in the way. And then this like disfigured, like, it's hard to describe. Like I'll have a picture down there, but like it's this horribly like deformed version of like the main mascot Bendy, who's just Mickey Mouse if he was like made by not Disney. So the Bendy monster, I'm just gonna call it Ink Bendy because that's its official name. It like pops out like, ooh, jump scare. Ooh, how cliche. So you're trying to run to the exit. Exit's locked, by the way. And right before you get there, like the floor just gives out, but only part of it for some reason. Like you just fall down. Not only do you somehow survive that, somehow nothing else collapses for like the good rest of the game. It is just that like one like tile. It's weird. Anyway, you walk into like the center of a pentagram, you pass out, end of chapter 1, start of chapter 2. Like, instant. It's interesting. It's a good way to approach it, because the Bendy game was just a beta, and they decided, hey, why not make more? So they made more. Chapter 2, as I just said, leaves off right where the first chapter left off, and you're like going deeper into like the studio, and you're like finding these like recording, like these audio tapes, like with people of the company in the past, like talking about what it was like. Then you're like walking through like this inky hallway, and you see like what seems to be a person made of ink, like with a Bendy mask on. Like, you, like, try to, like, see, like, where he went into a wall. Yeah. So this, like, humanoid thing can just phase through walls. That's, like, never seen outside of that one instance, which sucks, because it's, like, kind of cool. And I'll explain, like, why it really sucks later. But anyway, you're making your way to the music department. You see like the stairs that lead to the exit, but the stairs are flooded. You have to drain them. Drain them, you have to turn on the music studio for some reason. When you turn on the music studio, this like half-human, half-like slug thing, I forget what they're called off the top of my head. But yeah, they just kind of like show up, and they're basically like the basic enemy in the game. They're annoying, stupid, but they're effective. Anyway, once you, like, clear them, you, like, go to see, oh, there's, like, a drain pipe that'll drain the ink here. Uh-oh, there's, like, a leakage of ink blocking the thing. Better, like... Then you have, like, no objective on where to go, but, like, your morbid curiosity will probably let you play the audio tape that's, like, right there, and then that'll, like, that's what, like, starts up the next thing. It makes sense, but as someone who didn't listen to those, I was stuck on that for, like, an hour before I, like, tried I didn't try everything. I looked it up, and I saw that's what I had to do. Like, I just wasted an hour. Like, okay, what am I gonna do now? So after I looked it up, I played, like, the audio tape, and it said, hey, like, it was about this guy who lost his keys, and your goal is to find the keys. They're just in a random trash bin, just over, like, the layout of where you've been so far. So once you find the keys, you can open the closet door, which is another tape, which, like, is about, like, this sanctuary that someone had. And it was like, oh, you have to play, like, this set of instruments while the projector is on, then it will open. No idea how that happened, no idea how it works, but it does. So what you do is you play the song with the projector, the sanctuary opens, one of the there's a wheel, there's like a cog in there, like you turn it, like there's one of two, like, drains. That was the first one. The second one is in the little infirmary, which is near the sewer, for some reason. So you go to the infirmary, oh no, like, the little thing you need to turn the drain isn't there. So you go down the sewer, oh, look at that, there's a thing with a really cool hat. It's not that cool, but it's cool, I like it. And, like, the drain. So you, like, it's like a kind of a wild goose chase, where you will, like, you eventually lead it to, like, this sort of weird contraption that, like, lifts a box and slams it back down. You end up killing him that way. You take the gear, you don't take the hat, and then you put the gear in the thing, turn the thing, stairwell's drained. Uh-oh, you got knocked out by that, like, guy you saw earlier. Turns out his name's Sammy Lawrence, the most recurring character, somehow. Yeah, anyway, he's just sort of this insane cultist ink man now. He worships the ink Bendy thing, and when he's trying to sacrifice us to said ink Bendy ends up killing him. So yeah, he died. You break free of, like, it's never explained, it's probably rope or something. It's not important. You're trying to make your way to, like, another exit, you see. Uh-oh, as soon as you get there, boom, Ink Demon pops up. You have to, like, run from him. And for some reason, he can't make it past a locked door. He, like, bangs on the door and, like, just leaves. It's just the fact that, like, he just doesn't, like, nothing works for him. It's funny. Anyway, you, like, make your way a bit closer to an elevator sign. Turns out, and then, like, you see Boris, who's alive and not injured from having, like, his guts just, like, ripped out of his body or whatever happened to him. That's the end of Chapter 2. Chapter 3 it takes place probably sometime after, but it's in a different location. You're in this sort of safe house that this version of Boris created, or found? It's never explained, to my knowledge. But anyway, there's a door that leads out of the safe house. You open the door. Boris comes with you. He does nothing. He honestly shouldn't have been there. And I'll explain why later. So anyway, you're just kind of mindlessly wandering through, like, this, like, toy factory, which, like, it's still in the studio. Why is that there? It's so confusing. It's just weird. But anyway, you get to this, like, showroom, and it's this new character that was, like, hinted at in Chapter 2, but I didn't mention it because it was a single poster and nothing else. Anyway, it's a new character named Alice Angel. She shows up, half her like, mouth is just melted. Oh no! Who could have guessed? Ugh. Anyway, you see her, she breaks, like, the glass that was containing her, and then you don't see her for a while. You hear her, somehow, she have, like, an intercom over the studio? Who knows? It's never explained. Anyway, so you just sort of press on, because you don't really have a direction right now. There's no, like, oh, this is the exit. When you come across an elevator. Oh, sorry, before the elevator, there's actually something important. The door, there's a door that you need to flip 2 levers at the same time. And the lever you go to see, you encounter this thing. This, like, I forget what it's called, but, like, it's a member of, like, the trio called the Butcher Gang. And they're, like, sort of the leveled up, just, like, basic minions, and it's weird. Anyway, so you flip the lever, then you see the elevator. You go down, even though you could totally go up, because we see it goes, the elevator goes past the level you were on at one point. You go down to this, like, little, like, kind of thing that Alice has, like, set up. Cool. So you make your way in there, and you see one of the most confusing things ever. It's like a sea of ink, but, like, in the ink, there is, like, all, like, dead Boruses. And they're, like, killed in the exact same way to the one we see in Chapter 1. I'm not joking here. It's so confusing. So anyway, you, like, walk to, like, past that, and you come across the version of Alice that we saw, like, briefly before. She just kind of goes on, like a 5-minute rant about just nothing important other than, like, hey, do this and you can leave. So we walk out, we never see her again until the very end of the chapter. So this, like, big, like, boring fetch quest happens where, like, oh, you have to, like, collect gears from, like, these, like, boxes or whatever they are. Oh, you have to, like, steal, like, ink from these, like, things. Like, you go on that. Then after you kill the Butcher Gang, if you follow the right instructions, you get a gun. You just get a gun, and it's just so much fun to use. So when you get the gun, you go down to, like, the level that, like, the lowest level that you haven't seen, where you encounter the projectionist. The projectionist is weird because it's, like, very quickly established who it is, but it's, like, never expanded upon. Like, what happened? Like, how did this thing come to be from this person? Anyway, you can either kill him with the weapon you happen to have. It's easiest with the Tommy gun, obviously. But anyway, you collect 5 things. I honestly forget what you collected at that point. You give him the angel, and she's like, oh, yeah, time to leave. And when you're about to leave, she crashes it back down. Oh, no, because this game couldn't end at 3 chapters. Had to be 5 plus another game. Anyway, the elevator crashes, and you finally see, like, the deformed Alice again. She takes away your Boris. Oh no, the perfect Boris, as she called it. That's where Chapter 3 ends. Chapter 4 picks up again right where it left off. You don't want to get out. You're gonna rescue the dog. So you go through like this library or whatever. It's like it's the cliche where you push the certain books that are protruding out and like the door opens. It's that cliche. It's fine. It's whatever. Then you have, which is honestly kind of interesting, because like to get like there's like this like sky cart thing. It's attached to a rope. You need to pull it over with you need to pull a lever that will like bring it over, but you're missing a gear. Then you have this mini ink machine that you put ink in, you get something out. You have to get the ink from this contraption that summons the searchers. That's what they're called. Yeah, that's what the little slug things are called. So you take their ink, and then you see that Sammy's mask from chapter 2 is just here now. So that implies that he somehow survived yet died. He died here where we didn't see it. So anyway, you put the gear in, you pull the lever, you get across the gap. It's cool. Then you're up this giant staircase while the Twisted Alice mocks you. It's oh cool. That means we get to see you more, right? Right? Anyway. So once you finish climbing up the staircase, you open a door, and you just see a horde of ink people, but not ink people like Sammy. Ink people like people, if that makes any sort of sense. Anyway, you have a little nice crawl through the vent. You make it to a different section of the studio where it was revealed that there was going to be a theme park on Bendy, and it's whoa, chill. I know Joey was a bit loopy, but calm down. Yeah, so you enter the ruins of the park, or what was going to become of it. You have to open a bunch of doors. You find out the guy who made the attractions turned himself into an attraction, and you kill him. That came out of nowhere, and I kind of like it for it, because it just happens, and then it's never brought up again. Oh, hey, that's that from that thing. Anyway. So that's the third lever. The fourth lever, you find a projectionist again. Somehow he made his way to a completely different level. Anyway, after you get the fourth switch, the projectionist spots you. That is a scripted event. And when you hide in this little hidey hole that keeps you safe from anything, instead of going away like it should, it almost opens the door. Then the ink demon just booms, bursts through a wall, and fights the projectionist. It's so weird. It's quick, but it's so much fun to just see this just happen. Yeah, so the projectionist dies because his head ripped off, and then the body dragged to who knows, who cares. Anyway, so you get out of the fourth lever, the place where you found the fourth lever, and then this haunted house opens, and that's where your dog is. And turns out the dog is Frankenstein now. It's it's alive, but it's also dead, and it's Frankenstein. It's weird. Yeah. So after a very boring boss fight, honestly, you kill it. You kill your dog in the process. Then, out of nowhere, the Twisted Alice comes out, tries to attack you, gets stabbed by another Alice, and a different Boris, a cool robot arm. I could not explain why any of that, if I could. I could not explain any of that if I wanted to. So that's where Chapter 4 ends. Then Chapter 5, the final one of the game, happens, and like you're sort of in another safe house, but you're also kind of in prison because like the robot Boris doesn't trust you. It's like, ooh, yeah, we don't like strangers. Like, okay, cool. I don't care. So after like at least 12, like maybe 15 minutes of just dialogue and nothing else, you're finally given the ability to move in Chapter 5. So you like you get a pipe, you break down like the boards that have been like holding you, and as you're escaping, you are just in a cave. You were in a cave with like an ink river and like a boat, basically. Like a boat that you can take, and how you get across the river. But there's like, it's so goofy. It's so goofy. There is just a hand, a comically large hand that just follows you. And like, it'll kill you if it catches up to you. But it's so funny just to see the hand. So anyway, after that pretty easy yet fun scene, you come across this like village, like this like civilization of ink people. Where you see Sammy again, somehow alive. You fight him, which is why I said like him phasing through like walls was a disappointment. I was never brought up again. Would have been cool to see like in the fight, but like he's alive somehow. So after knocking off his mask, he's just a blank face. There's nothing. So then, as he's about to kill you, the robot Boris comes up, hits him in the back of the head with an axe, and he dies. Again. So anyway, somehow, they like arrived, and I don't know how, but like, now there's like, this like big like shaky. And apparently, Sammy was like keeping everything else at bay, so you have like a 5-minute fight with just infinite spawning enemies. It's like, it's fun, but not all that fun to talk about, because it's boring. So anyway, after you like are finally back with your group, 30 seconds later, you fall. You fall into the ink. They can't come, because like they'll die or something. I don't know. Anyway, you see like, oh, there's this like thing that'll defeat Bendy. Cool. Problem is, the only place to get it is flooded with ink. So you have to reassemble the pipes by going through this like huge labyrinth and like getting like the ink thing from Chapter 4, putting it in the mini ink machine, getting the right pipe, putting it in. Rinse and repeat 3 times. Open the door, see the thing that you were looking for wasn't there because the ink demon already took it. Somehow, again, your 2 little buddy companions show up with the excuse of rope. That's the whole excuse. So anyway, after like getting a bit closer to the ink demon, you see this just colossal-sized machine that is it's just a big ink machine. So anyway, you make your way through it. You see a tape. Click. After a bit of Joey Drew speaking, oh boy, you get to probably what is the goofiest part of this game, unintentionally, because Ink Bendy shows up. Oh no! But he starts to like change his appearance, and he becomes what people call Beast Bendy, and it's so funny because he is like 80% arms. It's such a terrible design that I can't help but just love it. Because, like, you can see his legs just, like, kind of dangling there, like, the entire time you fight him. And he just walks on his hands. It's so dumb. So anyway, after, like, kind of making, like, a roundabout circle, you, like, insert the thing that, like, oh, this is going to defeat the ink demon. It does. Now you're in a house. Now you're in a human house. And you see Joey Drew in the flesh. He is just old. And it's revealed that this is just an endless cycle. Because, like, Joey's like, oh, come to the studio. There's something I want to show you. You open the door that's supposed to lead outside. Leads to the start of chapter 1. Game ends. Okay. Oh, boy, this is going to take a while. Oh, right. I almost forgot that there's a book that I think is canon. So there's the book. There you go. There's the book. Don't bother taking notes. It won't be on the test. Second game. Yay. Psych! So while I was going to talk about the second game today, I'm realizing I'm already at like half an hour. So I'm just gonna make a part 2 of this later, because A, this is already way too long, and B, I still need to like reread everything about the game because it doesn't make too much sense to me right now. So anyway, I hope to get that out in close proximity to this episode. But anyway, I've been Adam the LoreMaster, and it's great to see you again. Nope, we're done here. Goodbye.